Hello and welcome back inside the Parc Fermé for podcast number 821. This is Todd.
No, Todd, not now!
AKA Negative Camper. You know why I've asked you here.
You must convince the villagers that I'm harmless.
That's exactly what I need you to do. Tonight, for your kind consideration, we're going to talk about news. We're going to talk about car launches and the FIA and Eddie Everywhere and all kinds of stuff. But before they do that, I have to introduce my co-hosts. That's an S. I have Grace and Paul with me. Welcome, both of you. A rare, the trio getting the band back together.
Yeah, haven't been that rare recently, though, I don't feel.
No, we've had a few podcasts with the three of us, haven't we?
Yep. Popular demand, I think.
It is.
It's not rare in the off season, just all the rest of the time.
Right. It's backed by popular demand.
Yeah, during the regular season, me and Grace are just fighting with each other to get out of the room.
That's right.
Right.
No, not this week. I can't do it this week.
I can't do it.
You cover hungry. I don't want to do it. You do it.
Yeah. Yes. Well, it's exciting. So, Paul, Grace and I were bragging about you on the last podcast. And now that you're here officially in person, let Grace and I be the first from TPF in person to congratulate you on winning the GTD class 24 hours of Daytona. The Aston Martin number 27. Woo, looked strong all day, didn't it?
That sounds very good.
Yeah.
Yes, it was strong. Yeah, it still blows my mind that it did it. I mean, for those that don't watch sports car racing, it's like winning the Indy 500 or winning the Daytona 500 or winning Le Mans for the Europeans. I've still Le Mans, hopefully in the future someday. But yeah, it's a massive race that we've been pretty bad at since we came on. Like the past 3 years, we haven't had any sniff at it, and we unloaded the car, and the car was good, and we just had to massage the car. Nothing crazy. Phil came out with an amazing setup, and the drivers said it was the best car they've ever driven there, and we just kind of rode that wave through the practice, and just everyone did everything they could. You know, if there was a minute left to spare, you were thinking about why there was a minute left to spare and what you could do to make things better. So,
yeah,
as I said, the drivers did impeccable from Darren to Ian. Darren's stint was phenomenal. He chased down the leaders, and then Marco, under that pressure in that last hour to hold off the GTD and the pros, was nerve-wracking. Quite honestly, I couldn't even look. I was shaking most of the time. But but everyone worked so hard during the night and made sure everything was right, you know.
And just to clarify, Paul, you guys, so there's the GTD Pro and then there's GTD for those of you that don't watch the series, but one is they're both the number 23 Aston Martin, number 27.
Yeah.
The difference between those two cars is what, Paul?
Nothing.
Right.
There's literally nothing. Just the driver lineup. So you got an old Pro lineup and then the Pro-Am lineup, they like to call it. So if you can call Ian James an am, hard to swallow that one, but you know, it's more the level of wherever they are. So it's a level of drivers, but ultimately at the end, you know, you make the rotation work, so you've got your pros from the Pro-Am side racing the pros from the other side. So it's literally a dogfight between, you know, equal level drivers, really.
Yeah. And so to clarify finishing order, not only did you win the GTD class, but you beat the GT Pro.
Yes, we did. We beat the WeatherTech car, who won GTD Pro, and that guy Maro Engel wasn't very happy about Marco beating him very much. but Marco's a pretty tall guy.
Yeah. And
Maro's a kind of a short guy. So the meeting in behind the scenes was interesting.
Yeah.
Because Mauro was a bit mouthy, and Marco's like, okay. So it was nice. It was like, you know, he didn't exactly throw his hat, but there was a little aggression, abrasiveness there behind the scenes. So he didn't like being beat.
Is it like Jean Todt arguing with Toto Wolff?
Do they argue?
No, I was just thinking height-wise, right? Like,
height-wise, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. A little Formula car driver Marco.
Yeah.
So it's like, what are you doing, man? Just go away.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
it was satisfying enough if we just won GTD, but just to be all the GT cars, there
Yeah.
can be no question that we were the best car out there, and
Yeah.
that, that's they can't take this away from us, and I'm gonna hold that with me forever, because it was 40 years to the date that my dad ran a team that won the Daytona 24
That's
hour running a
awesome.
Porsche. So it was pretty crazy. I had my dad's t-shirt underneath my Heart of Racing. Good
Cool.
luck.
Oh,
So it worked
nice.
out. So 40
Yeah.
years, and that's it for exactly 40 years. It was nuts.
That's amazing. Yeah, they and Paul, what happened to the 23 car? Because I don't know, I'm a fanboy of yours and the team, but I'm sitting there thinking you'd have won both classes had you not had the wheel
Yeah.
trouble with the 23, because
Dare we
you were
dream.
leading both. But what
Yeah, we
happened to
were.
the, yeah, what happened to the 23?
Yeah, 23, unfortunately, there was a little hub breakage on the left rear. We thought we were done, but Alex, and these things happen in a 24-hour race. There's a lot of stuff goes on. There's curves hitting, and some things can,
Mhm.
same parts are on both cars. So it
Yeah.
made us a little nervous, right? As in Formula One, when you
Yeah,
see
yeah.
the engine blow
Right,
on that
right.
Ferrari, you're wondering which Ferrari's going to blow up next. And
Yeah.
so we were a bit careful with the car after that, just to make sure we didn't untowardly run off the road and take a big hit in the suspension. But so yeah, made it back to the pits. Ended up being 7th in GTD Pro, a few laps down, mind you. But yes, that car was definitely had the same speed as the 27,
Mhm.
if not maybe a bit more. And it definitely could have won the GTD Pro too. That would have been crazy.
Oh,
Although we did
yeah.
do that last year
Yeah.
at Watkins Glen, but that was more, I would call it a bit lucky, because of the
Yeah.
circumstances. There was a race stoppage and everything, but this would have been like flat out earned by pace. So
Yeah, it was interesting watching from home. When you guys it's getting down to the wire, and you guys are still leading both classes in that GTD, and it even Calvin Fish and Diffie kind of had to come up with a narrative about Heart of Racing, because it's just they're so used to talking about the big well-funded
Corvette,
team,
yeah,
the Corvettes. Yeah,
yeah.
it's all about the Corvettes, and so then they kind of they were really nice about, they were talking about what a good job your team has done, and what Ian James has done with that entire team, and the drivers and the program you guys put together, and how far you've come in such a short time in motorsport years, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah, for sure.
and how well you're doing. So they were very kind to that. But that was so exciting. So I was at home going, yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
Watching that whole thing. I'm sure you were on the pit wall going, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh man, well, I wasn't, not till we were finished, and then all the emotions come out, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Tears come out. There's a lot of hugging, a lot of jumping. I
yeah,
actually
yeah,
stage dive off a pit wall into the crew,
yeah.
and so that was fun. Luckily, someone caught me.
Yeah,
that's
you're very brave. Very brave.
Yeah,
Because they've been up for 36 hours too, right? It's like, what the hell's going on at that point? And
yeah,
Yeah.
it is crazy you've been up that long, and then you have to go through the whole ceremony thing, and
yeah.
yeah, you don't even know, honestly, you don't know what the hell's going on after a couple of hours after the race. You just want to get back to your room and have a
Sleep.
drink with everybody, which we did, obviously. But
Yeah.
yeah, it was very satisfying. Hopefully, some people got to tune in. But
That's awesome.
onward and upward. Now we got to
Yeah.
somehow
You got
come down
Sebring.
off this cloud and get ready for Sebring. Yeah.
Yeah, a completely different track.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Talk
and a
about
tough one.
bumpy. Yeah,
Yeah.
very tough.
Yeah.
Fun track, but yeah, very
Yeah.
tough.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, excellent. Very excited about that. If you guys aren't watching the IMSA program, definitely do. You're looking for those two Aston Martins, number 23 and 27, to follow. That's Paul. That's the team that Paul's part of. And, and it takes an entire team to do what you guys do. And it's starting to gel. So that's awesome. Let's jump in. Grace.
Todd.
I'm going to get to my.
Hey.
I'm going to.
What's up?
Hey,
She's
Grace.
so excited about this next.
Woo!
I am.
Show's over. We talked to Paul. We're good now. We're done.
We're good. Okay, Paul. See you next week.
Yep,
Yeah.
thanks.
So Grace, I'm gonna get to my point, but I suspect you're gonna make my point before I do, which is fine. So Red Bull launched their RB19 this
did.
week, and I wrote some notes just around it, and then I'm going to let you chime in and share your thoughts, Grace, because I'm sure they're.
Did they launch it?
Did they? Yeah.
Do I only get one? Do I
No,
only get
no.
to do one thing?
No, no, no.
No,
And I'm sure
fine.
you'll have several, but if I'm honest, the Red Bull launch was a bit of an odd affair. It was held in New York,
A mess.
replete with clanging earrings on a countryman mic boom, odd guest commentary, even stranger host MCs, and a pair of Dockers that were slightly too long, according to Grace.
All of them. The fit was terrible. It was terrible. Christian Horner's pants really they
You
were
didn't-
terrible.
You didn't like his drip, did you?
No, none of it. It was
Yeah.
all very, he went from the Toto Wolff turtleneck to somebody told him, "Oh, sir, this is a jackets required restaurant." Whoa, what was he wearing? I don't know.
I
Get
know.
together. You knew this day was coming. It's on your calendar. Why were you surprised? And you're in New York. Go somewhere, right? They have a
Right.
men's warehouse at minimum.
Your
Somewhere
wife
in New
knows
York
how to
City.
dress. Send her a picture before you go out the house.
That is right.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure what Red Bull was attempting with their launch, but the high water mark had to be the introduction of Stefano Domenicali, F1 CEO, who never came to the stage. And
That
one
was-
has, and so at the time, Grace, I'm thinking, okay, look, that was really weird that they would introduce him and say he's here, and then him not come up to the thing, and Max point into a room up there and say that he's up there, and that whole thing was strange.
He's like
I said,
shaking his
okay.
head. I'm not coming down. I'm not coming
Right,
down.
and I'm kind of like, yeah, he's like, and I'm thinking at the time, okay, look, there's got to be a logical explanation. I was assuming that maybe they were going to bring him in on camera from a newsroom because he was doing interviews with news and
Or
stuff
from
like that.
cables. Cables,
Yeah.
that would have been cool.
Yeah.
like Lewis over a Turkish
right.
opera. That would be
Yeah.
cool. And then I thought, there's got to be a logical. But then I read this explanation over on ESPN, and it said that a source told ESPN Domenicali had a late decision that it was inappropriate to hog the stage during Red Bull and Ford's moment. It was also understood that he felt it may have given off the wrong message to rival competitors if he had appeared on stage at a heavily Red Bull branded event when other teams will be launching their 2023 cars without him present over the next 2 weeks, even if it would have made sense in the context of welcoming Ford back to the sport.
You think? I don't know what. I don't know. I mean, I've been involved in nothing is exciting or as important as Formula One. And that was my first thought. You always have to be careful about those kind of optics, right? I don't know. I just it just dawned on him. Oh, maybe it's going to look bad if I'm at Red Bull and I shouldn't be at any of them. Really? That
Right.
just dawned on you that was a bad idea? I don't,
Right.
I don't
Christian
think so.
are playing in jokes, nudging each other, laughing.
Yeah, right.
Oof.
I don't know. It was just so. First of all, I think we have, based on Paul's suggestion, there are plenty of car launches left. Somebody still has that opportunity to fly somebody in. Don't waste this great idea, right?
Do something for crying out
Yeah,
loud.
right.
Yeah.
It's the least you could do for us. Oh, Aston Martin, you can fly in any number of people, and it would be great.
Yeah, I
You have
know.
time. But yeah, the whole Domenicali thing was super awkward. And
Oh, very
there's-
cringe.
There's clearly Marty Smith, who has not really an idea of what's going on, who I think was just brought on because he sounds the most American or the most NASCAR-y or something,
Yeah.
right? Because I often joke that other countries must think we all sound like Nikki Hayden, right? It's a big country. The three of us don't have a Southern accent, but I don't know. A lot of people think that's what we all sound like. So clearly they were like, yeah, Martin,
Paul has a
you-
funny accent, but it's not Southern.
Well, it
No,
is
right.
Southern. It's just,
Yeah, well,
Southern
Southern
Kent.
British.
American, right?
Yeah, Kent. Yeah,
His own accent. So
before
I
it was
just thought,
taken over and became principality.
yeah.
so at first I thought maybe this is on purpose. They're trying to look messy on purpose so that later when they're accused of things, they can be like, well, didn't you see our launch? We don't know what we're doing. Some sort of excuse. But when they called up Stefano Domenicali and he was like, not going, I was like, nope, they're just a mess.
Yeah. I mean, no one
That's nice.
plans these things to happen, but they do plan for event mishaps, and that seemed to be missing from their planning. The RB19 itself was really a livery launch, and it was very little had changed from last year's car, including the Honda logo, but that was for me, that was a bit of a surprise, as Red Bull made the last half of the launch all about Ford, right?
Yeah.
And the special video features, to be honest with you, it was kind of like, hey, here's Chris Farley. I mean, James Farley, his cousin. I called it. I didn't even know that. And we were watching. That guy comes out and I said, wow, that dude looks like Chris Farley. And Grace quickly Googles it and says, it's his cousin. I said, well, no wonder. I didn't even know that.
Do you remember that time when you had Seb Vettel on your team? That was cool.
That was great. I know. And I was sitting there and I was waiting for him to, come up and pull up and come out to Christian and go,
Well, Lottie frickin' God!
but he didn't. So, but even like he came out and they had these video features showing the relationship, and the video features seemed very rushed, where they hustled the drivers into hoon around in some electric Ford vehicles, and despite all of their sort of commentary, even James Farley, even he seemed a little slightly lost in his speech, and it seemed a little bit ad hoc. I don't know. I guess I don't know. In the end, the launch seemed to be. But here, I'm going to use an F1 term. It was a budget limited affair from a team who is, I kind of felt like they're taking themselves a little too serious. And all three of us, and Paul, you I think you even said this, didn't Red Bull used to be the fun and cheeky team?
Yes.
Yeah. Now they're the really boring. I mean, this was nearly as interesting as a red flag stop. Waiting for Spa to actually not happen.
Right.
We're just listening to Crofty
about stuff, and it's actually not important or interesting, but we're going to keep going on for a really long time.
Yeah.
Because that's what the people want.
And it's also very similar, because clearly when all else fails, just pitch it to Ricciardo. Just pitch it to Ricciardo. Like they must just have Marty Smith just must have the director in his ear going, throw it to Daniel, quick, throw it to Daniel. And you can see that, Ricciardo's just like, I like the new kit. I don't know. He really you can only stretch so much, and they're pitching him weird questions. He just sort of always looked like, I'm glad to be in New York. I like bagels,
And Marty's got a lot of Daniel Ricciardo bromance going there.
I don't know. It was just,
that was awkward.
But what are you going to do? Pitch to Max? Hey, Max, are you liking New York City? Yes.
Yeah.
Do you like the new livery?
Yes.
Sure. Is the car fast? Yes. Max is just going to give you the teenager, yes, no answers. So at least Ricciardo is trying to come up with something.
Do I have to stay here any longer?
Right.
My mom said I could leave.
Right.
I'm surprised Checo wasn't like, is that my son? Hold on.
Yeah. I can hear my son crying. I'll be right back.
Or you see that Homer Simpson meme where he kind of
backs
fades
into
the bush.
Yeah.
That's what everyone wanted to do at that point, I think.
Yeah.
Oh,
it was surreal.
And for nothing, as Paul said. For what? Yeah. For the exact same livery you've been running, and it's not even nothing even clever going on here.
Missed the days of the 6-wheel Tyrrell and the ground effects cars, and
I know
now they can't even bring a stinking new car out.
They don't bring a new car out.
I don't care where the stripes are. I really don't.
Right.
No.
It's I want to see what you're doing. I mean, it's just pointless. It's silly.
At this point. Yeah, it's reduced. Well, basically,
not good enough. Damn it, not good enough.
It's not good enough. I don't know.
They've really gone. I mean, minimal effort,
Yeah.
Because all the teams are doing it. It's not just Red Bull.
No, it's not just Red Bull.
Right.
All the teams are now. They're not even pretending that it's a new car. It's like, this is the old car just with the new stripes on it, and let's talk for half an hour about the stripes. I don't know.
I'm thinking we may have been witness to. Do you remember a couple of years ago, Grace, when Ferrari did their launch with the interpretive dancers?
I love
Remember
them.
that with the image map projection, all in that very. I'm sorry, folks. I'm not Italian, and I can't remember the location but it was a very historic, beautiful location that they did it at, and they had these theater dancers, and they did their interpretive dance of that year's model, which
It's great.
is that method acting? I don't know what that is.
Didn't Renault / Alpine also somebody else did some interpretive stuff last year at their launch.
Yeah. So I'm wondering if that's the last of the great launches we're going to see at this point.
Yeah, I just think that
I think it was called just the wind. That was
just the wind.
Interpretive dance. Just the wind.
Yes, it's interpretive dance.
I think that
Alonso fell over every time.
Actually, what it was, the name of the dance troupe did submit the name of the dance. It was hard to spell, but the name of the dance is. That's what it was.
Yeah. I'm an idiot in interpretive format.
I'm an idiot.
I don't know. I just think then, we gave Haas a lot of crap for just being like, here's a Photoshop still. But maybe that's what we should just do. Like, if you're like, don't waste my time. If you're not going to do anything, just show me the Photoshop still and let's all move on.
Yeah, I got shit to do, man. I'm going to sit here for half an hour, wait for that.
It's like when meetings end early and somebody's like, you got 10 minutes back of your life. That we could all use that, like, 3 hours that we spent on Red Bull just to look at a Photoshop picture.
Here, we're going to talk to a skateboarder or a windsurfer for 10 minutes about F1. And they asked them, so, what do you think about it? It's just really, it's cool. Have you been? Yeah,
Sure.
I went to Miami. And, are you excited to see Max? And who? What? They didn't know anything about F1, right? And, I felt bad for them. That was on the spot. But then I ended up watching after that. I watched the Williams. I watched their launch today. Now, in quite a departure from the Red Bull launch, Williams launched its FW45 today, and it was a nice looking car. It was a matte finish for them, which is new for them, in blue and Williams blue. But it was not a live event. It was just a pre-recorded short feature, showed the car. It looked nice. It was hosted by the effusive Will Buxton. It lacked all the hype of the live Red Bull event. Basically, Will interviewed their junior driver program. And then he interviewed Alex Albon, who's sporting very blonde hair instead of the red or whatever it was he did. So he had blonde hair. And then they did have, I thought it was kind of nice, they did kind of feature Logan Sargent more. They had some vignettes on him and interviewed him. And before the launch, they were running a little feature on him just to kind of get to know, him. And so that was nice. And Paul, they announced their new sponsor, Golf, which was thing. But I got to be honest with you, it was just basically they could have done that, recorded it a couple of weeks ago. I don't know when they recorded it at all. They just played it. It was about a half an hour. They had Will ask questions. He did a great job at it. That's fine. I did find it. I think it would have been a lot nicer if they'd have had an interview with James Vowles, the new team boss.
That would have been something.
That would have been nice, right?
He's pretty good in front of a camera, actually.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, James is a good guy. And, what about, a chat with your new sponsor, Golf, about their relationship with Williams and I don't know. I'll tell you what I found interesting, though, Grace. And here's the point I was foreshadowing at the beginning of this. I did find it interesting because you both saw the comments on the live Red Bull over on the right-hand side, all the Z's and everybody just slamming it, right, in the live comments section. And I watched that. So on the Williams one today, I was watching it, and it was very much the same. They were like, just slamming it. And I found it interesting to see those comments for viewers. And all of them were complaining, there's a complete lack of glitz, complete lack of hype. It wasn't live, and it wasn't interesting. And I found it interesting, Grace, because you and I've said for years now how we mourn the loss of the epic car launches of yesterday, right? With the pomp and circumstance and all that. And it's interesting to see all these new fans, these younger fans, very much saying the same thing, This is like boring. Right? It's Formula One.
We've all watched enough other sports. Like, it isn't just that the material in and of itself is boring. That's never stopped the NFL. That's never stopped the NBA. Like, the Wizards, the Washington Wizards are terrible, but their like pregame is amazing, and there's like a little heat thing, and like it's just crazy. There's a dance team, like you're hyped, and then you're like, oh, it's the Wizards. I'm gonna go get some nachos, right? Like, so it doesn't have to be like the greatest thing in order for it to be hyped up. That has never stopped sports, right?
Right.
So, but if you're not excited, we're never gonna be excited, right? Like, would it kill you guys to like? I don't know.
I think they should bring the cast of Monty Python, what's left of them, coming to do it. You know,
Yeah,
let's add a little humor to these things if we're not going to add anything
Something.
else.
it's just
Albatross.
it's-
I don't know, something. Yeah, and especially Red Bull. I felt like, I don't know. It's cost cap thing. I'm sure they don't want to spend any more money than they have to, and who knows? I just found.
But
the
I
whole
don't think you
thing-
need a big budget. Again, the Washington Wizards were not like a premium market here. I mean, like you can go to Kansas, or you can go to see OKC, Oklahoma City. They put on a great show. Again, not a premium market.
Right.
Get some lasers. Get some like hype men. Something,
Get some
right?
sea
Like,
bass and some
I mean, look-
lasers.
right. I mean, I have some nano leaf lights to jazz it up, and some paper sharks. Like, jazz it up, people. This doesn't take a lot, right? Get it together.
Get some
Yeah.
lasers.
What does it all mean, Basil?
You know. It's
I
like,
mean,
know.
just give them some, oh, you can't afford a confetti cannon, just have some people throwing confetti.
But
Get
they
a
should
t-shirt
get
cannon.
t-shirt cannons out there,
Yes,
and a laser and a fog machine.
right.
That's all you need.
That's
Get
all
a
you need.
mascot on
Yeah.
skates or something. Like, I just don't buy them. Oh, it's my cost cap. Please, you can do this.
You could have hired Left Shark, Grace.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? Super Bowl's coming up. It's his chance,
There's
right?
more
I mean,
pomp and circumstance to a karaoke night at the local pub, quite honestly.
that's what I'm saying. I just think Red Bull, boo. You're Red Bull. Like, that's
I
your
know.
whole thing, right? Like,
It's their whole thing to be edgy, and
Yes.
cheeky,
Not so
and
much.
and
There's
this
none of
was-
that.
No, there wasn't.
boring. They needed some Red Bull.
Yeah, they
Right?
did. None of them had wings.
They were very lethargic. You're right.
Yes.
Yeah, they were.
Maybe that's what Jim Farley should have just come out with some cans of Red Bull and been like, this is
Yeah.
for you, this is
Yeah.
for you, this is for you. I'm gonna talk now, you drink, and we'll wait for the caffeine to kick in.
Or maybe it
right?
was like that Folgers commercial where they replaced their Red Bull with who was the sponsor for Haas?
Rich
that?
energy.
Oh yeah.
We replaced the Red Bull with Rich Energy. Let's see if anyone notices.
Let's
And they're all,
watch. Oh, that's great. That's the greatest.
I don't know. I put my final note under that was I think Dee Dee would have been disappointed. I'm
Oh
sorry.
yeah. Absolutely.
The times are changing. I told you.
Yeah, you
happened
did.
quickly.
Yeah, you did.
Boring.
So out of that, I was watching with eager anticipation as Jim Farley talked about Ford's involvement. Now, there's a bit of a word salad and a bit of guesswork here. The strange thing for me was that Porsche wanted shares of Red Bull, either a large portion or controlling interest, and Honda wasn't interested in just doing a portion of the engine since Red Bull is making their own engine, presumably just the EV side. But Ford is, and they didn't want more than really just that technical and commercial alignment. So it made sense for Red Bull to team up with. Now, that's a different position than what many felt Cadillac was initially proposing, which they were accused of basically just a badging exercise. They're going to get a Renault engine, slap a Cadillac emblem on it, and go racing with Andretti. With Ford basically saying, well, wait a minute, we're going to help intellectually in R&D with our department and all of our resources. We're going to help them develop the EV side of Red Bull's power unit and software and those kind of things. That is sort of what they're leading you to believe. I'm not saying they won't, but it'll be interesting to see how Honda deals with that situation, having Ford poke around their current Honda-inspired power unit, which is always going to be interesting, right? and it's specifically their hybrid portion, their EV portion of that power unit, if that's what Ford is doing. The technology shared to me also will be interesting in the fine print as to who actually owns the intellectual property of whatever it is that Ford develops for the EV portion of the power unit. I think that'll be interesting because if it's just a commercial alignment and they part company, but Ford helped develop a lot of the EV technology, then who owns that? Is that Red Bull? Does Red Bull instantly become a customer now, or do they have to buy that, pay for that? What happens there, right? Horner said that the commercial side helps Red Bull penetrate the U.S. market better, riding on Ford's coattails, presumably, as a massive brand in the States. But I don't know. Is Red Bull suffering from brand recognition in the States?
No.
I got like 3 of them in my fridge.
they're just pandering,
Yeah,
the relationship at that point, right?
Yeah.
But it's interesting. I mean, but historically, Ford have never been involved except as a technology partner, right? Back in the days with the DFE and the Lotus, and
Well, they had
that's
the Jaguar stuff.
yeah, but that was Jaguar,
Yeah, right.
right? So and even the Stewart was funded by Ford, but they never
Right.
badged it as a Ford. It was a
Right.
Stewart with
Ford.
a Ford engine.
Yeah.
So I think that history is just they're kind of sticking to that technological side of the power unit, and just why not join the team that's basically been dominating the past 2 years and have a partnership with them? Why try and reinvent something and bring your own team in when there's a team there and they can a lot lower cost probably to be a technology partner than to try and own and run your own team, which they failed at with the Jaguar team, right? They tried to do that and they failed miserably. So I think they're burned on that side of things, and they want to go back to the historical side of being a well-renowned engine supplier. I mean, everyone in Formula One in the 60s, 70s knew exactly what was powering 90% of the field.
Yeah, and they do stand to gain something on this because they stand to gain from the R&D of their EV, because in 2026, 50% of the power has to come from the EV portion of the hybrid, of the power unit. So Ford's going to be very interested in that for their own EV market and potential road relevancy. And I think also they're going to be very interested in the synthetic fuel aspect of Formula One as well for their standard ICE engines. So, that'll be interesting. And also, Grace, who knows? Maybe this is a move to keep Adrian Newey happy, right? He can work on the next Ford supercar, maybe the next Le Mans GT to take on, or the next Ford hypercar to take on the Ferrari hypercar 499P. Who knows?
Who knows? I was just thinking that maybe Ford has a wind tunnel that's more recent than the Ice Age, and that's why Red Bull agreed to this whole deal.
Right. Maybe Ford has something a little newer than a Cold War wind tunnel.
Wind tunnel.
Yeah.
Because that's right. That's always going to be the leakiness of all of this, right? Like, we didn't, I guess I always think of, right, because it's always like, if you aren't finding loopholes, you aren't trying hard enough. And so I always think of when Flavio Briatore, when they first put in the testing limits, because Ferrari had their own testing track, so everybody was like, oh, that's not fair. And he would just like run sector 1 at Spa. Like, we didn't break your limits, right? It's not the full track, it's just sector 1. And Spa is such an outlier, right? What data are we getting from this, right? So like, always, if you aren't looking for loopholes, you aren't trying hard enough. So I like the idea of using Ford to get some loophole time here,
Yeah. Well, look, let me just say this as a caveat. I say all this with the best hopes that there is a very robust technical link up between Red Bull and Ford plays an integral role in that. But, there are many who still believe it's simply a branding and badging exercise. So we'll see.
I wouldn't think so. I think Ford aren't built that way, honestly.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't think that's kind of how they roll. Not typically anyway.
Thank you very much, Ford, for this input. I'm going to file it right here.
Yeah, it goes right down here.
In the round file. Yes.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I mean, it's something I would believe more out of GM than Ford, because GM, with Andretti, their hands are a little more tied there, I think. Because Andretti's not making a power unit. so they're going to need
Right.
a power unit.
Right.
And I don't think GM can make a complete F1 power unit before 2025. Just don't think it can happen. So I think it's going to be a little difficult. And speaking of, that got me to thinking, what about Honda and Porsche at this point? So this is where I think things get interesting. You have Audi, you have Red Bull, Ford, Mercedes, Alpine Renault, Honda, and Ferrari. Those are the 6 manufacturers that have applied to the FIA to be, during the window, to be manufacturers in Formula One. But where does Honda go? It won't be AlphaTauri because presumably they'll be Red Bull engine customers. It won't be Mercedes or Williams, as they're tied now and have been, and certainly James Vowles being there helps that relationship, right? It won't be Sauber. That's becoming Audi. This leaves McLaren, and that's an interesting thought given Honda's history with them, right?
That worked out so well 5 years ago.
Right, when it was like, whoa.
Nice, Ron.
That
We love you
made-
guys. Let's revel in our history. We hate you guys. You guys suck.
You guys
Yeah.
suck, right?
I'll pay not to drive your engines.
And then there's
Gosh.
Porsche. They had this big desire to have a majority ownership or a large ownership of whatever team they're in. And I think McLaren would have concerns with that, right? So there's McLaren or there's Haas. Now, Haas may be looking for a new supplier, but they'll need the full drivetrain, right, Paul? It's not
Yeah,
just
all of it.
a power unit. They need
least
the
right
gearbox.
now,
Yeah, they need the gearbox and everything else, right? Will Porsche or Honda provide the full system? Gearbox, electronics, power unit, software, all of that. Presumably, Honda's done it before. I don't know about Porsche. And then I got to thinking about the whole Andretti thing. And I was thinking that Andretti got hitched to Cadillac. But to be honest, I think his connections with Honda may have been a better bet for entry into F1 at this point, because I don't think he'd want to hand over Porsche a large controlling interest or a large interest in Andretti Autosport, right? I would think that he's got a relationship with Honda and over here in the States. That would have been a quicker path to entry, I think, as a team picking one of the 6 engine manufacturers to team up with instead of Cadillac as a badging exercise. Maybe they could still pull it off and share space, but I wouldn't think Honda would want to do that. And then finally, I could see Porsche not making it to the grid. But perhaps they or Honda would settle for Haas. I'm not sure. Maybe Porsche could talk Red Bull into selling AlphaTauri, or Honda could talk AlphaTauri into supplying, Red Bull's junior team. I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts? Grace, we'll start with you.
Sure. What are my thoughts? I think what are my thoughts? That's an existential question right there. What
Grace,
Keep
what's the
talking
meaning
until
of
you get
life?
one. Keep talking.
What is my thoughts? No, I think that you guys are great. Anyway, so I think that I mean,
Yes.
I don't know, Andrew. I don't know why Andretti wouldn't go with Honda. I mean, I don't know. I think that seems. You're right. Now that you've said that, that seems like a lot more obvious. But maybe he was just trying to in a scramble find somebody, and Cadillac said, "Sure, we'll do it." They were more than happy, right? It was fewer hoops at this moment, right? I always think of, I'm sure everybody's work is this way, but there's often the person higher up in management that's just like, I don't care what you do, just get some questions on that survey. Well, that's great for you, but I have to write them, right? It's not quite that simple. And so somebody's like, I don't know, just get an engine manufacturer. Okay, we found these guys. They said they were Cadillac. That sounds great, right? We'll worry. That's tomorrow Grace's problem, right? That sounds wonderful. To put it on there. And then I think that, I don't know. Surprise. If you, unless you're new to this show, I have no faith in Porsche ever coming to Formula One. I still not really convinced that Audi's going to make it, even though that seems pretty much in the books, right? How many times have we been around this, this relationship, right? Okay,
oh my
sure.
gosh, yes.
your Porsche. You bring your flowers and your
Yeah.
chocolates, but I'll believe it when you show up. So
Yeah.
I don't know where Honda's gonna. Who wants Haas? Nobody wants that. I just don't think that. Who's gonna get into the sport where your only option is Haas?
Yeah.
And all of it. I mean, because you're right, because it's the whole thing, right? And so,
Right.
Unless they think they can take it over and just make it what they want it to, like Audi's going to do with the Sauber team, sort of.
But
perhaps.
Sauber, you're starting with a solid, like you have a nice broth that you're putting your vegetables into, right? Haas, you're like, you got like some stink juice here, and we're gonna put some noodles in it, and we're gonna call it chicken noodle soup. Good luck, right? Like, I don't want your stink juice. I want your nice broth that I'm at least starting with, right?
I just want everyone at a Haas to know that I personally don't think you're stink juice. I think you're a tidy, fun team, and I wish you the best. I don't want to be labeled as that guy. I'll let Grace.
Fine.
I'll let Grace take the put the razor blades in the apples there.
People aren't paying me to be nice, so
That's true. That's true. That's what they love about you, though, Grace.
I mean, I'm a base of stink juice. I'm working with these guys here, right? Like I don't. And yet they let my stink juice continue to show up on this podcast. So I don't know.
I don't know. What do you think, Paul? There's a lot of weird,
That's weird stuff going on. I still don't understand the Cadillac Andretti thing. Doesn't make any sense logically, other than I think what Grace was said, just to get something out there. You know, I mean, when you remember the actual announcement, it was really a commitment for maybe being committed.
Yeah.
It wasn't, you know,
Right.
you know, if my blind date is good looking, I might go out with her again. You know, there was nothing, there was no essence to that at all, other than an exercise to get Andretti's name out there. Say, hey, we're interested. Why are you guys keeping us out? You know, don't shut me out.
Right.
So
Paul,
I think that's going to drop off. I really think that whole thing's going to drop. I think that's going to go away, because I mean, Andretti's ties with Honda. I mean, even now he's tied with Wayne Taylor in IMSA, which is a Honda team also. Which is why I get to see Michael Andretti a lot, Grace. And every time I see him, I'm like, man, I'm just waiting for that one moment when he's on his own. And I'm going to get that video of me and Michael
Happy birthday.
So I think the Andretti thing's going to evolve quite heavily and not be what it was first perceived to be.
Don't you think he'd be miles ahead, Paul, to link up with Honda, who has already developed and went through all the F1 engine teething pains on hybrids? They've won 2 championships with this engine. I mean, chances of them hitting the ground in 2026 with a very competitive engine should be pretty good, right?
Right.
And I would think that Andretti teaming with Honda would almost be an instant entry to Formula One. I think he'd be far better off in thanking Cadillac for their willingness to come along with him, but he's got to do what's best for his team's possibility getting F1, right?
Yep, absolutely. And then I wouldn't be so quick to discount Williams. I know Vols is involved and he was at Mercedes. He's not being paid by Mercedes anymore.
No.
Williams isn't like the second team to Mercedes. They're owned by a completely different entity who are trying to make something out of it.
Yep.
And they would not sneeze at the fact of having a Honda or another engine partner coming in there where they're not paying for the engines. Right now, they're paying Mercedes.
Well, maybe the owners of Williams, or, Doralton Capital, maybe they would be willing to talk to Porsche and give controlling interest.
I think, I think that, as I've always said, the name says it all. Capital. They're there to make money doing it. They're not there because they cut their teeth on the karting tracks of southern England. They're literally a business that's there to make money for people.
And Gene Haas is a smart guy. He knows this wave isn't going to last forever. I'm wondering if he says, look,
although he wasn't that smart because he created his own team instead of buying a team for
Marussia, which is what you and I told him to do. But maybe this is a good time for him to cash out, get his money back out of it.
I think Andretti would be great to move into that space if they can't get that 11th slot. I don't know why Andretti, it's got to be cheaper than trying to start your own thing, but Andretti's kind of his own thing, but Andretti's tied to a lot of people in partnerships. So, I mean, even in Australia with the touring car stuff, in IMSA with the Wayne Taylor car. I mean, he's used to putting deals together with all kinds of entities and using the Andretti name as the Forward name, but also adding the other people that he's rallied together to put the deal together. So
right.
I can see something like that happening for sure. So I'd say Williams are up for grabs. Haas obviously,
Mm-hmm.
and then your own team. But I don't know how Porsche's gonna. I think Honda's a few steps ahead, and if Porsche haven't found a partner, I think they might just cut bait,
Yeah.
and give it up, because why are they spending all this money developing an engine when they may not actually have a team to put that engine in, except for Haas, who wouldn't actually be that an attractive an option, right? They're as you said, they need to develop a lot more parts of the car,
Mm-hmm.
because Haas are used to buying things off the shelf. So
Right.
Haas is more liable for a takeover, but then Porsche or Honda would have to invest a lot more money in the infrastructure of the team still, because it's only half the infrastructure as some of the other teams have.
Right. Yeah, I think watch the space, because I think this is a really intriguing issue.
Yes.
Grace?
They just want to start with a nice base of chicken broth. That's all.
Not stink water, right? Or whatever you call
Stink juice. I don't know where that
juice. That's it. Stink
Faux
juice.
faux.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh boy. Well, speaking of the whole teams and everything, so if you thought there was a fresh wound from the whole between the FIA and FIA President Mohammed bin Salem and the teams and stuff like that, you would be correct. And last week, he proceeded to take the salt shaker off the cabinet and start just dashing that wound with salt, because the FIA began a brand new team search for Formula One. The FIA put out notice that they're officially taking applications for new teams in Formula One. And this, it's already a very sensitive wound between him, the FIA, Formula One, and all the teams. The current teams are, as we have talked about, and I've written several editorial pieces on the website, the teams aren't keen to dilute the prize money fund beyond 10 teams unless they can be convinced, Toto Wolff says, that the new team or teams would increase the size of the pie or increase the total revenue to be shared. Now, you may say, makes sense. Having another team come in, there's 10 teams and the prize money pays out to the top 10 teams. So everybody's fat, dumb, and happy. If you bring in an 11th team, now somebody's going to lose, right? And so what they want is assurance from that new team that they're going to be a draw enough to increase the size of the pie, not just cut it in smaller pieces, right? That's fair. I guess from that perspective, I understand it, but it's not exactly fair to ask Andretti to do that, because nobody asked Haas to assure that or do that. Nobody asked AlphaTauri to do that or assure that, or any of the other new teams, HRT, Marussia, Lotus at the time. Nobody was asking those teams to ensure that. Now, I know you go far enough back, it was a different business model. But you know what I'm saying? Nobody demanded Haas was going to increase the revenue. So that's one side of that coin. But I think, as I wrote in the editorial, I think as time goes on, you're going to see a real strong grassroots. And as we saw last week, even a dirty campaign to oust MBS via a vote of no confidence. I can see that coming. So,
Yeah, first off, they need to do away with this whole 10th team gets money and 11th team gets nothing, because that's just dumb.
Yeah.
They've changed all kinds of other rules for less.
Sure.
It's just like spread it out. Formula One's bringing in a ton of money right now, and they're all getting a much bigger piece of the pie than they did 4 years ago, quite honestly.
Are you the head of the FIA or what, right?
Yeah. Who's making this decision? I'm not even sure who can say no.
Yeah.
To the FIA say, well, we've got an 11th team. Welcome.
Right.
Does Liberty say, no, we can't have another team? Or do they have no choice in the matter? I don't know.
Yeah, well, I think the FIA does have a legal position to do that. Remember when Max went out and looked for the new teams, and he was doing it under that cost cap budget that was like incredibly low, and that brought us HRT, Manor or Marussia, one or the other, and the Lotus GP.
Virgin. It was Virgin at the time.
The Virgin at the time, right?
Yeah.
For 1 year, right?
Speaking of good car launches, yes.
Yeah, leather
Yeah.
jackets.
Yeah. So you look at that, and nobody, I don't know that Formula One can necessarily stop that. So yeah, it's a good question on who ultimately has that decision. I believe the FIA does, but
But they definitely need to do away with this 10th or 11th place gets nothing, because
so if
that literally destroyed some of those younger teams trying to get in.
it did,
Right?
it totally did.
I mean, it wouldn't have taken much for them to survive, but by
Right.
giving them nothing, it completely destroyed them.
That's exactly right. Yeah, and Grace and I at the time were pretty critical of those new teams and how they were treated. And so when you look at this from that standpoint, so what do you think, Grace? I think it strikes me as I think there was a limit, either 24 or 26 cars. It may be 24 cars. I can't remember. So what do you think? If there was 13 teams, Grace, you think they should just, whatever the prize money is, we divide it by 13 based on points and a scale?
Oh, well, first, I would redistribute Ferrari's legacy money. That would be one way to get some other teams in here.
Wrong.
Point one.
What about Williams' legacy money?
Yeah.
I mean,
Guys.
I definitely think that it's I don't know. It's more complicated, right? I think that's the easiest point to make is our pie's this big, and if you take it away, now it'll be this big, and we don't want that. There has to be more to it than just that, because if that was the case, right, like you said, like exponentially, since Drive to Survive or something, I mean, like we now have 2 races in America. Clearly, you're making more money, and bringing in more teams would also bring in more money. I just think that that's just the easiest thing. And if nobody's going to push against it, why would you come up with more things? I think, it's not you, it's me. It's just an easy way to ghost Andretti.
Yeah. It's an interesting conundrum there. All right, Grace, Paul, quick answers only. I'm going to ask this question. Who was the last full-time American driver in F1? Quick, don't think.
Scott Speed?
Yeah, I guess had to be Scott
Oh,
Speed.
poor Alexander Rossi.
He wasn't full time.
Oh,
Yeah, he
it was
was.
like a moment.
No,
Yeah.
he didn't do a full season of anything.
Yeah, he did.
Rossi?
Yeah.
Did he?
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to look in Where's Atticus?
Yeah,
Where
right.
is Atticus?
I thought he came in and he left before. I don't remember him doing a full season.
Really? Okay, hold on. I'm going to look it up because I could be.
I think it's the Scoot.
It's Scoot Speed. I don't
It's
know.
gotta be Scoot for the win, Alex.
Scoot for the win. Okay, we're going to look here. Formula One, 2012 to 2016. Rossi was one of the 3 drivers linked to the U.S.-based Formula One US F1, along with Jose Maria Lopez. In 2012 Formula One season, he joined Caterham as a test driver. Following his departure at Caterham, Rossi joined Marussia F1 as a reserve driver. Let's see. Then Rossi continued as a reserve driver in 2015. I thought, let's see, hold on. 5 final 7 race. Yeah, there it is. Okay. I think you're right, Paul. So despite losing, Rossi would go on to enter 5 of the final 7 races of the 2015 season.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
That was it. 2015.
Scoot
And then
it is.
Scoot.
There you go. Grace was right.
Grace is right. Scoot Speed.
I just rode on her coattails. Yeah.
It was a collaborative. It was a Andretti Cadillac cooperative effort here, people.
That's true.
We're all in this
Yeah.
together.
That's right. So he was in 2015. He had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6 races. Yeah, that's it. Not a full season.
Yep.
Well, I was giving him the benefit of the doubt, apparently.
Yep.
Sorry, Rossi. I tried, man. All right. So, all right. Let's move on.
Why did you ask us that question?
Because I was just sitting here and I saw a
He wanted to
headline.
see us freak out.
No. I
don't
no,
know.
I
I
was
don't
wrong.
know.
I
You
was
tell
wrong.
me.
Christian Albers.
I can't see
I
it.
don't know. I can't see it. No, I was the one who was wrong. For some reason, I was thinking he drove the full season 2050. He didn't. I'm getting old. So no, I saw a headline talking about Logan Sargent being the first American driver in a long time, and I thought, wait a minute, let's see, who was the last American driver? Rossi was, because he was on the grid, but he didn't do the whole season. So that's right. Scoot Speed would have been the last one.
There we go.
It's Scott Speed. Grayson,
Question everyone was waiting to hear the answer to.
Don't ask what Scott Speed does in the shower. Just
No.
Don't ask anybody that question.
Yeah, especially him. And don't ask his wife either.
No.
All right, let's do some Albon's Cats. Oh, that's a lovely tune, isn't it?
I have very few boundaries, but I'm pretty sure that's one of them.
Which? The shower?
Don't ask people what they're doing in the shower.
Yeah.
That's not a boundary.
I don't know. Let's just keep that to yourself.
That's just that's an ethical jumping off point, is what that is. That's not good. All right, Grace, hit us with some Albon's Cats. Did you like Alex's new blonde hair? Wasn't that fun?
Yeah, sure. If
Yeah.
it makes him successful, I'm all for it.
That guy's going to have no
blue,
hair left,
blonde.
though. The amount of
know,
time he dyes his hair, he's frying that
I
baby.
know, man. He's gonna look like me after a while.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Watch
well,
it.
He's not a ball cap guy, so I guess that's how we'll know, right?
If he starts wearing a ball cap, you'll
We'll
know.
know. I don't know.
I don't wear my
Okay.
baseball hat like.
No, I didn't mean
Wow.
you. I'm just saying him. I don't. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah. Sunburns
Like-
are bad for me. So-
Yeah, me too. I mean, right? A
Yeah.
part in your ears, like even if
Yeah.
you have hair, sunburn, terrible. If you don't
Doesn't
have
bother
hair,
Paul.
also terrible.
Paul
No,
running
no.
around the
No.
paddock with a visor on. It's like a visor.
He wears one of those like
my
face
tennis
shields.
outfit. Yeah.
He's wearing his tennis skirt and his visor. He's got his little pickleball thing out there.
Pit
and he's-
now, pit now.
Fit
I don't know
now.
why they're
Fit
not
now.
listening to me.
Yeah. He's just got Pitt on a little pickleball paddle and he's like doing this. Yeah.
Why won't they listen to
I don't
me?
know. My arm's not long enough.
I've got authority, I swear.
Who wears a
Jackson
visor?
Burton off a pit
I'm-
lane. We've got a
I'm
freak
sure-
out there.
I'm sure. Do you see a lot of who wears? I'm sure we have listeners that wear visors. I'm curious. The visor has always perplexed me. A half
Well, you
of
never
a
know
hat.
when a poker game's going to break out. You got to be ready for
Or you're going to become a bank teller.
that. Yeah.
I don't know.
Doesn't some of the football NFL coaches doesn't like Sean
Yeah.
McVay always wear a visor? Yeah, I don't know.
I just the visor escapes me.
I'm a full hat kind of person, right?
Yeah, me
if you're
too.
worried about the sun, just wear the whole hat.
Although technically in Formula One, a visor is cheaper.
Because it's only this
Chance to-
part.
Yeah, it's a chance to support your team without spending $100 on a cap.
That's right.
A little more catering.
It's
is
only
what that buys
$60
you.
for the visor. Yeah,
So
less
Red Bull,
material.
to not overspend on their merch, they're cutting the tops
Just
of their hats
visors.
off. You know, last year's hats, they're cutting all the tops off.
Oh my gosh.
boy.
That's how they're making the rest of the kit is out of like the hat circles
Yeah,
all
yeah,
sewn
yeah,
together, right?
It's all patchwork. You know, it's all like quilt patchwork.
The new suits for the
Uh-huh.
USGP. They always come
Yeah.
out with
Yeah,
something
right,
stupid.
right.
Oh my gosh.
That would be good.
I did think that was an awkward part of the Red Bull launch was the whole discussion with Ricciardo about the kit. Because at some point he was just like, yeah, it's nice. It's blue.
Yeah,
right? Like he
blue.
really like, I don't know. Oh, and they made him do a spin. It was
Yeah.
very weird.
Yeah, sit.
The one part
Sit,
that was
shake.
awkward.
Shake,
I
high
mean-
five. It's like, what? It's not your dog. It's a real man.
It was particularly awkward.
It's
I
a
admire.
man, baby.
Come on. Sitting there treating
throws a
Daniel
shoe?
Ricciardo.
That's my line.
Or
Who
like
throws
a-
a shoe?
Yeah, who throws a shoe? Honestly.
Oh my
It's a bit
goodness.
nutty.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
All right, Grace. Albon's
What am I
Cats.
doing? What am I doing here? All right, Albon's Cats. So
Yes.
first, I wanted to ask Paul the most important question after winning Daytona is do you get some sort of like a trophy replica? Do you get a little watch? Just the hat you showed
Well,
us?
we
You get
wanted-
anything?
I get
We
a
wanted-
Rolex.
A bu-
It's a plastic
get a
version of
Casio.
the Rolex.
I have this nice Casio.
Yeah.
I
It's
was
a calculator.
hoping. I told Grace last week I was hoping that Ian would let you borrow the Rolex
Yeah,
from
just
time to
so-
time.
He might for like a couple of minutes, but he'll keep his eyes on me in case I make a run
He'll
for
be
it.
right here the whole
Yeah.
time, right?
Yeah.
I flinch and he's like, "Ugh, give me it back." Yeah.
He's running. He's running. Get him at the
Well,
door.
We see what it takes to motivate Ian. Just a nice wristwatch.
That's right. That's right.
That's
There
good.
you
Yeah. Now, do I get? Well, I did get a very nice hat, not a visor, so that's
Yeah.
good.
Oh.
That's nice.
That's my hat from the podium, so I have to get all
Oh.
the guys to drive that. I got to pick up the trophy, polish it a
That
little
was
bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, I didn't. I don't get anything long lasting unless Ian
Oh.
comes up with something that throws me a bone. But
That's a shame
Yeah.
because you'd look so good in a Rolex.
oh, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
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 Come on.
Rolex. Well, I just feel, like I didn't
I
even
might
win
just do that. I might just go get one of those off the. I'll go down to
in New
Fort
York.
Worth,
Yeah.
Shady Side.
Yeah.
And just
Buy
any
a fake.
Rolexes that look like the Daytona one, and then I'll
Yeah.
This one.
Here's an
just
oyster
start
Daytona.
sporting it as the hands fall off it as I'm standing there.
And the hands going click, 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 which Rolexes don't, but you gotta hide that.
Or the hands go the wrong direction or something.
right.
Like it's
Yeah.
really close. Don't look too close. I mean, I was just wondering because I got a trophy and I didn't even win the fantasy this year, so I thought maybe you actually
Wow.
won
What
something.
What does your
Maybe you get
trophy
a
say? I beat Paul by a tiebreaker. What does that thing
That's
say?
all. It doesn't say anything, but boy, wouldn't that be great if it did? I beat Paul by a point. That's all that matters.
All
A
right, but-
technicality,
A technicality. There you go. Yeah.
an asterisk. That's it. But
Yeah,
I
very
feel like they
much.
should get you something.
Yeah, they should.
So-
I'll let them know.
Okay.
But nothing so far,
All right.
other
well,
than glory,
Well,
which is long lasting.
but
it
but
is.
can you sleep next to Glory at night? No, right? Like,
No, I'm married. Come on.
well, your wife can be on this side and Glory can be on this side.
Hey,
It'll
easy.
be fine.
that's not how Paul rolls.
It's just
I don't judge. We were just talking about what Scoot Speed does in the shower. Whatever you want to do, fine. Welcome to the pod.
whatever you do in your own house, as long as
Paul-
everyone's
As long as
agreeing to it,
everybody
no one's
agrees,
getting
right?
hurt. Yeah.
No.
Right.
Just for Paul's wife's sake. Paul is a simple man. He can't wait to get home to you. Okay, I'm just clearing that up here.
First of all, I don't know that she listens to this podcast, but I don't think she's really threatened by our witty banter about what Paul might have imagined. I
No,
think
she
it's all
knows
right.
Paul too well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she does.
I think it's all right.
Mhm.
So there was that. I did also want to mention, those of you who might have seen this, that Daniel Ricciardo in a very nice green suit was on the Late Show with Stephen Colbert. This
Ah.
Did not see
I guess
that.
last week. Yeah, so check that out.
Ah.
They asked him, like, what was he
buttons, aren't
interviewed
they?
about? Why did you have such a shitty
oh.
season?
No, they asked him about Drive to Survive mostly.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And then they asked him, what his favorite track to go to as a fan and his favorite track to drive.
Austin.
That is his favorite track as a fan. Do you want to
Mhm.
guess what his favorite track to drive is?
Monaco.
Yeah, it was
Suzuka.
Monaco.
What was it?
No,
Monaco.
Monaco.
Oh yeah. Well, he
Austin
won
and
there.
Monaco.
Yeah. Mhm.
So those were his answers. But
He got
yeah, I mean, it was,
screwed there too.
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
again, just drink on the
That
bottom
happens.
floor. Yeah. So so anyway, I just wanted to tell you to watch that. Also, they played, Hit the Road Jack, that song, right?
Mhm.
Was what his walking out to music was. And so we were like, did they ask Zach Brown what song they should play? That seems like an odd choice, in my opinion, of songs for Ricciardo to come out to. But nonetheless, Hit the Road Jack was what they played. So there was that.
Wow.
Should have came out to about damn time.
Anything. I mean, he would have done a little dance. He's a funny guy, right? He would have worked with it.
Did you
but-
see Harry win the Grammy last night?
That
Grace?
was my next one, right? Was
Oh.
your guy, Harry Styles, won Album of the Year. of
There you
course.
go.
Wow.
Yeah.
There you go.
Album of the year. Good for Harry.
Yeah.
My daughter
And
likes Harry.
Yeah, and a grandma. So
And a
thought,
grandma. I thought that was cute.
it was really cute. So
Yeah.
she also was a big Harry Styles fan. So yeah, your guy, Harry
There you
Styles, won
go.
Album of the Year. Congratulations. You're
Todd
just trying.
guy.
Yeah. you're
Well,
just-
it's not really my guy. But my daughter likes Harry. She's also a big Swiftie, but she likes Harry.
Yeah.
And so, you know, as you do, Paul, you've sat and listened to music with your children before, right?
Hmm.
And so,
Death metal at the moment, apparently.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
My
your
daughter
daughter-
said,
she's right.
so Alice Cooper and Rob Zombie are coming into town next month. Do you want to go? I'm like, why would I want to go?
So she's driving really fast, listening to death metal. I love this imagery. This
I
is
can see her in the
favorite.
Genesis now with Dragula just cranked. I
Yeah,
am the man. Yeah, it's going to be good.
She
excellent.
blames me for my past.
Yeah, so does mine.
That was funny. But
Yeah.
I was like, she was like, well, you know, what heavy metal bands did you used to listen to? I said, I never listened to heavy metal bands. I listened to punk. So the hour drive we were on that moment was a punk history lesson.
There you go.
So
See?
hopefully I
There
can
you
turn
go.
her. Yeah.
Although, so my daughter wanted me to listen to the album, so I listened, and his first solo album actually was pretty good. Yeah, it was kind of a departure. It wasn't boy band ish. I think his most recent was obviously very pop, but not my bag.
All right. Well, you know, there's that. I did also, for my final Albon's Cat, since I get the succinct impression here that you're trying to move me along.
No,
Uh,
not at all.
Anyway,
Okay, is that it, Grace? Thanks.
No.
Okay.
Thanks everybody. Good night.
All right, I have one more story. So anyway, there was a lot of talk around the Williams launch about why wasn't it golf livery, right? Because everybody thought it would be
Yes.
the light blue and the orange.
Yeah.
And I just want the world to know the answer is they only donated at the tote bag level, not the paint your car my livery colors.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, somebody
So-
posted a picture of the McLaren with the light blue all down. So the
Yeah.
McLaren did it better, and that's exactly right, Grace. I was thinking, yeah, because they probably paid McLaren to do that, and they
Right.
didn't pay Williams. They just paid Williams to put the Gulf sticker on the nose.
That's right, tote bag
Although,
level.
I do got to say, I love the whole Duracell battery out of
Oh
the
yeah, that was
rear
great.
intake.
I did. I thought that was very clever.
The copper top battery. That was well done.
Yeah. Although that'll be the first thing to go with weight saving, I'm sure, right? But
Yeah, right.
I agree. I thought that looked good, but I just wanted to point out that, you know, that comes with money. You want your
Yes.
car to be your sponsor's color, the sponsor gives you money
That's
for
right.
that, right?
Hell,
It's
Grace,
not
if they give
for
you
free.
enough money, you'll paint your BMW that color.
Sure, that would be ridiculous, but sure.
You would.
I'll
You
vinyl
should
wrap the
take-
crap out of that thing.
You could take your BMW, paint it that light blue, and put the big Golf logo on the hood. That would be awesome on the belt.
Yeah, or
line.
we could just do the mini checkered top and the mini, you know,
yeah.
side
Just
mirrors and
just send them a bill and invoice them. You know,
Right. Just invoice Golf.
sponsorship.
thanks.
Grace.
Right.
Yeah.
You guys are the best. Thanks.
Yeah.
Hugs.
Yep. Yeah. 30 days net.
Right.
Oh my goodness, that would be terrible. All right, I'm done now.
I met one of the main guys at Golf when I was at
Oh.
the Austin race. Nice guy. Real nice guy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
All right. How about some no shit headlines? Shall we do those?
Yeah.
Up first, this is the headline. Quote, watch reporter got F1 star Daniel Ricciardo's name horribly wrong at Red Bull car launch. So I read that and I thought,
Oh,
Wait.
did she?
did she? Wait a minute. So I went and read the article. The article says that she said, quote, welcome one of the friendliest drivers in F1 grid, Daniel Ricciardo, to Oracle Red Bull Racing, end quote. I thought, oh, no. I watched it. I don't remember her saying that. So I went and rewatched it. Hello, she didn't say that. She has an accent already. And she said Ricciardo, which is the correct spelling.
Why
Or
let the truth
yeah.
get in the way of a good headline?
Yeah, right. And I was like, that's such crap. I mean, you really, come on, man. She said Ricciardo. I mean, look, I'm not defending her. I don't even know who that woman is. I'm sure she's delightful, although rule number one, don't wear hoop earrings when you have a boom mic on, okay? That's a bad call because they just sit and bang against the boom mic, and that's not a good sound for listeners. Anyway, second headline, and I think this is fitting, and it's about damn time, Lizzo. Quote, Martin Brundle disagrees with Total Wolff as Mercedes boss looks to block FIA plans. Martin weighing into the controversy. How about that? Getting,
He likes to do that from time to time.
he does. Well, Martin was the first to receive the Emotional Murray Walker Award last week.
Mm,
Yeah. So and he
well
and he
deserved.
Yeah,
Yeah,
very well
absolutely.
deserved, and he was very humble about it, and it was really
And I'm
nice.
sure he got a little award too, Paul. I mean, I'm just saying.
He got an award.
Wow. I'm looking at my desk looking for something I could possibly. Oh, here you
Sure.
go. I get something. Here you go. Hold on.
All right.
Hold on. It's coming. It's
Stretch it.
it's-
He's got it.
Yeah, it's coming. It's
Okay.
coming. There you go. I
Boy,
got
that
an
Martin
award.
Brundle.
There you go.
Oh, nice.
Third place. Award.
Mm,
There you go.
shaped like a
That's-
state.
Okay.
Oh,
Here, get this award back here. That's a steering wheel.
Yeah.
mhm.
Get that award up there. And get that there. So there you go, Grace. I got stuff too.
Hold on. I got one more. Hold on.
Okay.
He's
All
going
right.
to go get his Daytona 24-hour award, and he's going to blow
There it
us
is.
away. Is what he,
Of course.
Hold up. It's
But
like,
yeah.
he'd come back with like the Borg Warner trophy or something.
Yeah. His little face is on it, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Paul's little face. So, Paul, we decided you're going to come back with the Borg Warner with your face on it.
yes.
There you go.
Ooh.
what did that
That's
say?
a trophy, right?
That is
All
a
right.
tro- What does it say
What does
again?
it say?
1980 champion SSV.
1990.
1930 champion. Is that your
So you're-
grandfather's?
So you're the same age as Red Bull's wind tunnel,
There
right?
you go. I think that's probably that.
1990. That is
That's
a good
nice.
trophy.
There you
Champion.
go. See, champion. See, I used to
Champion.
be able to
So-
draw.
Paul,
When you
you
talk-
are a racing champion.
When you
That's
talk
right.
to the team, take a piece of paper and some painter's tape and write on it Rolex winner or something, right? And be
There you
like,
go.
why don't I have one of these?
Yeah.
Guys.
Guys.
Hey, Paul, do you ever bump into my buddy Diffie at the track?
He roams around. I usually bump into Calvin quite a bit. but
Calvin?
Yeah. Diffie's usually, knee deep in a conversation. With
I don't
one
think
of the
Calvin
Taylor
even-
kids.
Okay. Yeah. I don't think Calvin even knows I exist, but Lee does. So
Yeah.
tell him I said hello.
Well, he's a good guy. He's a good
yeah,
guy.
he's a good guy.
I've had a curry with him once.
Have you?
Not enough. Yeah.
Yeah, good. And finally, this in the sad news category.
Oh.
Oh no, this is not sad news.
Oh,
Well,
yay!
it
Promotion.
It could be.
I'm exhausted. It's been a roller coaster already.
It could be sad news. Schumacher lined up as McLaren reserve driver.
Oh.
So there's that.
Isn't he Mercedes reserve
Yeah.
driver?
Yeah.
That's nice.
Who knew? So yeah, he's getting around. That Mick. And this is the sad news.
Oh.
Jean-Pierre Jabouet, first Renault driver to win a Formula One Grand Prix, dies age 80. So our
That is
condolences
sad.
to the friends and family.
The guy that drove the first turbo Formula One
first-
car.
Yeah, first turbo. Renault, right?
Yep. I saw the debut.
Yes.
Silverstone.
You
Yeah.
were there.
It didn't last very long. It blew up pretty quick. And
It
then it was
did.
like, stupid Renault with their turbos. Never going to become anything.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
A few
Only took
years
them
later.
A couple of years. Yeah,
Yeah.
a couple of years.
Yeah. Yeah, they were dominant. Yeah.
Just you kids wait.
anyway. Yeah, you kids wait. All right. Let's do some mailbag.
You've got
Because
mail.
we've got one that Grace and I could possibly answer, and then we have one
Oh, good.
specifically for Paul. The first one, Anthony asks, "Hi all, love a good conspiracy, and why not tie one back to Andretti to keep Grace amused? Sorry if this has been mentioned already, but the recent $20 billion quote offer for F1 commercial rights, surely there's scope for a current team calling up some mates in Saudi, asking them to make a silly offer so it can be shown that a measly $200 million is not enough, and Andretti should have to pay a lot more to get in. Thoughts? Thanks for a great pod."
That's a great idea.
That's
I
a
wish
good
I
one.
had had some friends in Saudi Arabia.
I was going to say, I think this is actually Grace's doing, I would have said.
Yeah,
Yeah.
could have been something
Yeah,
Grace did.
Keep him out. What can we do? She's got people working in the. Like, trying to figure out scenarios to keep Andretti out of Formula One.
No,
Dear-
that won't work. Try again.
Dear Prince of Saudi Arabia, I hate Michael Andretti, and I'm not telling anyone why I hate Michael Andretti, but I do, and I would like you to make an offer to keep him out of the sport. I get so many people asking me, what is Grace's problem with Michael Andretti?
I don't like him.
And now it's just to become a mystery. Don't
And he used to
whatever
be
you
a
do, don't
McLaren
tell.
driver. I mean, there should have been
Yes.
just a deep tie there.
Yes, yeah, McLaren. But don't tell anyone, Grace. Keep it a secret. It's an
Okay.
enigma.
I think it's better that way.
It's better
All
that
right.
way.
Okay, I'll just keep it secret. I've shared why. I don't know why people like. I don't know. This isn't. I don't know. Anyway, yeah. If I had those kind of connections, I would do it. But also, not only would I do something to keep Michael Andretti out, I would do something to bring somebody like Roger Penske in. I just want it to be
Ah.
so personal. Like when I used to do basketball brackets. So I went to Penn State. Pitt is one of our, it's the other big school in Pennsylvania that's not Penn. And so people were always like, why do you always have Pitt going to like the Elite Eight and then losing? Because I don't like them. I want them to get as close as possible and then lose, right? I want to crush them completely. So I want them to get to the Elite Eight, get in there and then die off,
Yeah.
right? That's what's
Right.
going to hurt you. So I want Michael Andretti to think
Very
he's going to get in
mean-spirited.
and then
Yeah.
get beat out by Roger Penske. Are you new to this pod? What episode are we on? I'm pretty sure when we did our personality test, this was in there.
I'm pretty sure. I'm
think
not
it
saying
was.
surprised. I was
Don't
just
be
making that
surprised.
up. Yeah, just in
I
case
just
people
think-
thought you were being jovial, you were actually just being mean.
Well, this
And
is
this
me
is-
being jovial. This is
Yeah,
what I
but
do
this-
for the pod. You should see what I do when I'm not on the pod.
This is how I know Grace is going to be cheering against my Chiefs next weekend.
Mm.
No, but that requires me to cheer for the Eagles.
Yeah, who would
I
do
can't.
that?
I can't.
Yeah,
I can't cheer for the Eagles.
All right.
That is the bigger crime.
It is the bigger crime. I know you can't do that.
I'm a Steelers
It's
fan.
your-
I can't root for the Eagles. That's terrible.
No, exactly. All right, Paul.
Yes.
Jim McDowell asks, this one is for Paul. I noticed at the Rolex that the cars had to go through cones at pit out. Why was this? I assumed to make them join single file. I also noticed that the GT cars turn their lights on at this line. Was that automatic or driver operated? Love the pod, Jim.
Okay, so at pit out and pit entry, Michelin have these things called RFID readers,
Mm-hmm.
right? Which actually pick up what tires or wheels you have, which are associated with the tire that you have, to make sure you're using the correct tire and the right amount of tires in the race. So, and they make it extremely narrow because these readers don't have a big scope, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, you go in and out. It's a very narrow
Yeah.
amount, especially fitting the GTP cars, GT cars. I mean, it's a bit dicey, I feel, but that's what they have to do to get the readers to work properly.
Let's see.
Hmm.
I'm not sure what it means about the lights though, because they turn the lights on when they leave pit lane, or just the pit box. We turn the cars on, the lights come on, unless he's talking about the leader lights, which come on, which show you, then the number lights be.
I wonder if the number lights would go out because positions had changed while they
Yeah.
were in pit. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure what he means about the lights, because I definitely know that when you start the car up, the headlights come on and everything. So I'm
Yeah.
not sure what he saw at the pit out there, but I do know that's what you think of the cones are actually hiding the RFDI readers for the wheels and tires.
Yeah.
I like that. My first thought was, what, in case they come out with 3 tires? But I realize you mean over the course of the race, you use all the tires you're required. I like the idea of, though, excuse me, you seem to only have 3 tires on your car right now. You might want to hit again.
Yeah,
You're a
right.
cheater.
We actually ended up with 3 tires, so I
Yes,
don't know
you
how,
did.
like,
Yeah.
yeah. So but we
And everybody on
we
the-
left the pit lane with 4, but came back with 3. So
Everybody on the broadcast said, "Oh, it was a loose wheel nut," and I was looking at your text and no, it wasn't.
yeah,
Just send somebody down and ask them before you say that.
yeah, and see how many laps
Just-
the car had done up until the point
Yeah.
that the wheel came off. Yeah.
Right.
You're just filling space.
Yeah.
Don't mess
right.
with my pit stop guys. Did an awesome
Yes.
job.
They didn't screw up.
That's and that's when Paul like throws off the visor and he's like Paul Tracy stomping down the pit lane. He's gonna go punch somebody
Yeah.
in the face.
Yeah, someone would be very intimidated by me throwing off a visor.
Yes, they would. Just take that visor off and throw it on the
And
ground.
the wind catches it and it just
Yeah,
flies
blows
away.
away.
Did you see him
Exactly.
do that?
Or the
I'm
wind blows
mad.
back
And I
in your
got-
face.
Yeah. it was- yeah. And I gotta congratulate you for not going all Wayne Taylor on your eyeglasses with the round
Oh,
Oh yeah.
glasses. He looks like where's
Wayne
Waldo?
Lowe, he looks like Ringo Starr more every day, honestly. It's pretty funny.
Or where's Stefano Domenicali? I think he's the new Carmen Sandiego. We could add that as
I
a
think he
feature.
is. I think that's a good one. Nobody knows where he's at.
No, but everyone knows where Eddie Edwards is. It's such a
Yes.
He's everywhere.
He's everywhere.
easy time in Formula One.
I know. Difficult times. Well,
Mhm.
all right. Well, that does it for this podcast. But let us know what you think about the launches. You can go to, what's the name of our website again? theparcferme.com. Thanks, Grace. Share it with your friends. Share your opinion. Just do it with decorum and civility as always. If you like this podcast, go over to iTunes, give us a good rating, give us some love on your podcast catcher of choice or listener of choice. And a huge, huge thank you to our Patreon supporters, because we could not and would not do this podcast without all of you. So thank you so much. Appreciate that. Paul, it's awesome to have you back on the cast. And
Thank you.
I'm going to be coming after you because we're going to do a season preview.
Mm.
So I'm going to be coming right after you for that one.
Okay.
And
We're going to do that before the testing begins, or?
Well, we could do before or after. You know, we could see how the testing shakes out and then give our judgment on that.
How the liveries look
How the liveries look, right?
in
Right.
motion.
That'd be good.
You know, they should just have the like Photoshop picture and then just like some cardboard tires that the drivers can sit on. So I still get drivers on tires, but it's still just a Photoshop
Still just
picture,
a Photoshop
right?
picture. That would be
Right,
good.
just with some pop out 3D
Yeah.
tires for them to
Yeah,
sit
they
on.
could put the camera at the angle where they look like they're actual
Yeah,
tires
right.
on the car, but that would be good. And then Grace and I are going to do a earlier cast next week on Sunday afternoon because of the Super Bowl.
Somebody has
So-
plans. Somebody has to watch the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
He's hoping to be really hungover on Monday.
Yeah, right, right.
I have never seen, the only time I've ever seen the end of the Super Bowl was when I happened to be in San Francisco. Otherwise, because there it's like over at like 5 o'clock, it's really weird. And I'm like, I guess we eat dinner now. Usually it's like I've been asleep for like 3 hours at somebody's house and then I have to like drive home, right?
Yeah, right, right.
Like it's
Yeah.
New Year's.
She's
Right.
passed out on the couch. Don't worry, that's just Grace.
That's fine. Just put a blanket on
Drooling.
her. It'll be okay.
Drooling on the throw pillows. Grace.
Too much dip.
Okay, Grace, time to go home.
I mean,
Want me to call
Oh,
you an Uber?
all of my friends that are listening to this are going, yes, we've done that.
Yeah, yeah.
True story.
The whole family's in their pajamas. Wait, little kids want to go to bed. They're
Grace, you gotta
tired,
go home.
and Grace is sitting there.
And it would be all right.
Yes. All right. Well, we'll be back next week to do it all over again. I'm going to pick this conversation up next week, Grace. This should be fun.
All right, good times.
All right, folks. Until next week, we do it all over again. This is Todd, a.k.a. Negative Gamer, saying so long.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.